What is up, everybody? Hope everyone out there is doing well on this Saturday evening. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I am Wayne, your host, joined as always by my partner in crime, the lovely and talented Miss Tiffany. What's up, ma'am?
Hey there, hi there, ho there. I messed that up last night when I said it, so I had to fix it.
Oh there, hi there, hey there.
I said something, but it wasn't right. I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm fan-freaking-tastic.
Good.
I'm excited. I got so much to be excited about.
I know. Fun times are coming, man.
Yeah, we got an awesome guest backstage. We will be getting to him in just a little bit. We're going to talk some Florida Bigfoots or skunk apes or swamp apes, whatever the hell they call them down there. It's going to be fun. Y'all see in the middle there, y'all saved the date for the 5th annual East Tennessee Squatch Out Labor Day weekend. It's going to be fan-friggin-tastic. Good times had by all. Yes. What about you, man? What's up?
Nothing. It's Saturday, so we cleaned today.
You're boring.
Well, that's what I do on Saturdays.
Nothing. It's Saturday. I clean.
Yeah, well, at least I have a clean house.
I clean during the week, so I ain't got to do that shit on the weekend.
Oh, no. I got shit to do during the week. Do it on Saturday.
Whatever. Y'all see right here, Miss Nana Boss. Hi, Wayne, Tiffany, and all in chat. She is responsible. She is the one that is responsible for that lovely, I guess, flyer, you would call it, there for the Squatch Out. She made that for us. She is very, very talented. She's very good at what she does. She also made me these. I'm going to pop these up real quick for our speakers this year.
Yes, they're very nice.
They are very, very cool. There's Miss Mary Ann will be a speaker. David Zagan. And my good buddy, Dr. John Baranchuk.
Very awesome.
Yeah, but she made all of those for us. And she's the one that made our intro and our outro. She is very talented. If you guys need anything done, you can get a hold of me and I will charge you. And then she will do it for free.
That's the consult fee, right?
No, but seriously, Marty, thank you so much, ma'am. You are very, very good at that stuff, and we appreciate it.
Very
All right, let's pay some bills. You want to?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys, if you are new to the show tonight, we thank you so much for hanging out with us. Before you leave, do us a solid and hit that subscribe button. We would certainly appreciate it.
And if you would like to be on with Wayne and I, you can reach out to both of us, Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. I'm struggling saying that tonight for some reason. And we can get you on the schedule for June. And we actually have an opening May 27th. So this coming Tuesday. Just reach out to one of us and we'll get you scheduled.
Sweet. So we do have an opening this Tuesday.
Yes. I noticed that today. I was like,
All right, y'all holla, and we'll get you on. ParanormalWorldProductions.com is our website. Please check it out. Head over there. Check out all of the other shows under the studio's umbrella. Several of them. And God, Brian, what is he doing? Like a new podcast every month?
I think so.
Bless his heart. I don't know how the hell he does all of these podcasts. I hear that Bigfoot podcast is pretty badass, though.
Yeah, I hear that too. I've heard that a time or two through the grapevine.
Y'all check that one out. But head over to Paranormal World Productions and check them all out. Sign up for the Bigfoot newsletter. Pick you up some merch. All of that really cool stuff. We would greatly appreciate it.
And we say every week, every show, if you have any questions, please put them in capital letters. I know last night we had over 40 people in here. I know you're like, well, that's not many people. That's a lot of people for us, okay? So it was kind of drawing for me to keep up with them in the chat. But if you put them in all capital letters, I'll be sure to grab them up. We do a rapid fire Q&A at the end of the show. Just put them in all capital letters, please.
She didn't mean to say 40. She meant 400.
Damn, that's right.
We had
400.
We had 400 people in here last night.
Man, that would be banging.
We'll get there. We will get there. Manimalresearch.org. I hear good stuff about that organization. The dude that founded it is, I mean, he's handsome as hell, is what I heard. Anyway, whatever. Manimal Research is the organization that I founded back in 2019. I'm very proud of it. We have some amazing, awesome members. I'm so proud of this organization and all the people in it, the work that we do. It's awesome. You saw the flyer for the Squatch Out. That's our event that we do every year. If you would like to be involved in our organization, we would love to talk to you about that. Head over to manimalresearch.org. If you are having activity on your property that you believe could be Bigfoot related and need someone to come check it out, we would love to be the ones that you trust to do that. Please head over to manimalresearch.org. Chris Blaylock does an amazing job keeping up with that website. She's our administrator. Show her some love. Head over there and check it out, please.
And if you would like to be a channel member, it is only $1.99 a month. And I say it every show. I mean, we offer you so many different things. Discord, members only nights. If you were in here last night, that was like a total, that was how it is on members only nights. We just get together and just hang out, and we're stupid. And it only costs you $1.99 a month.
You're stupid.
You're stupid. But it's so fun, and there's so many great people in here, and y'all are all like family. There's no numbers here. It's family. So we would appreciate it. And it just helps us to cover the cost of, running StreamYard and all the cool stuff that we try to do for you.
Yeah, very well said. I was looking at today, and we are at our largest point ever in members. I think we're at like 56 members right now.
Well, you guys whom are members, please. Whoops.
Yes.
Okay. Email one of us and we can get you the link to Discord. There are so many different threads in there. I mean, Russell and Troy have killed it in there, putting this all together and working it up for us to make this as seamless as possible. And if you're a member, we can absolutely send you the Discord link.
Yeah. Very, very true. All right, guys, lastly, before we get to Mr. Richard backstage waiting so very patiently, if you will pay attention to the bottom, the little ticker that we have going by, you guys in the past have been awesome about helping us with super stickers. That's something that YouTube offers. Since YouTube offers it, they take a fee, and they take a pretty good size fee. Fine, that's completely fine. We say it every week. I don't want to take nothing away from them. No one's in business to break even. We're all in business to make money. So that's fine. But we need it more than they do. We are not a multi-billion-dollar corporation. We are struggling. We're doing the best we can. So If you guys can help us out with either Venmo or Cash App, it comes straight to us instead of us having to wait a month. And we don't get hit with near the fees that YouTube takes out. If you'd rather do the super sticker and pay YouTube, that's fine. Don't care. We just appreciate it. But that's just another avenue to help us out. If you don't mind, we would greatly appreciate it. Goonie Goo Goo, $1.99. Thank you, buddy. You are amazing. We can count on that $2 every show from Goonie Goo Goo.
Yep.
You're the man. You can count on him feeding us at these events too.
I know. Yes. I am looking forward to that when we go to the Smokies.
Yes, ma'am. All right, Tiffany, tell everybody in here about our guest backstage.
Well, as one of the admins on the Bigfoot and field research page, I see his posts come through a lot to approve for his podcast, Sasquatch Unredacted. And I was curious. And so I was checking him out and I'm like, oh, this is really, really cool. He has his own podcast. He's boots on the ground. He's got amazing pictures. And I was like, I really want to talk to him. And so I had reached out to him and I'd set everything up for him to talk to Brian as well. And so he ended up calling me and we talked on the phone for a couple hours. And it was just like talking together with a friend. So I knew that tonight was going to be great. So I had him on and here we are.
Yeah, I got to chat with him for just a couple minutes backstage and it seemed like a good dude. We're going to talk some Florida Bigfooting. So if you're ready, ma'am, we're going to go ahead and bring out Dick. What's up, Dick? How you doing, buddy?
He's like...
I'm here. I am present. We should do one of those she squatcher things. I always get a kick out of that. Thank you.
What's up, buddy? How you doing today?
I'm doing outstanding, but I hope to get better later.
Yeah, that's all we can ask for.
Well, I'm glad you survived the sweltering Florida heat today.
Yeah, I was backstage. We were talking, and I posted the temperatures here in South Florida, and the heat index was 103. So,
Jesus Christ, really?
We haven't even hit summer yet, dude. School's not out yet. We're in preheat mode. That oven ain't kicked in yet.
Yeah, this was our last week of school up here, so it's coming to an end. So summer is kicking in, and Memorial Day is Monday. So that's kind of the unofficial kickoff to summer. But you're right, man. It's not technically summer yet, and I can't believe it was that hot down there.
Dude, we're in a drought. Some of the areas that I go into, and people can see it in some of the past videos, I'm wearing rubber boots and I'm sloshing through the swamp. And now it's like walking down a sidewalk. I mean, it's so dry, bone dry. And I don't know how the animals survive, dude. I go into areas where, you'll find alligators and different things, turtles and all this, and there's nothing there. Nothing. So where do they go? Because the rains come back and there's alligators and turtles again. I'm like, they must be climbing the trees, going through portals. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there you go. When you start seeing alligators in trees, there's a problem. No, but before we get to the Bigfoot stuff, and that's what we're all here for, I do want to ask you this. Being a native Floridian, I love Florida. I do. Every chance I get to go on vacation to a beach down there, I go. I've always said I wouldn't mind living in Florida, but I think the one thing that would stop me, and I want to ask you, how often do you see these damn pythons, these big snakes that seem to be overtaking down there? I'm not a snake dude. I can't stand them.
I love them.
To be honest with you, being down here, they're not as far reaching as people make it out to be. Especially, I'm pretty sure people out of state are like, oh my God, because it gets dramatized.
Yeah.
Granted, there is a ton. I think the last count they said 500,000 of them in the Everglades.
God,
there, that back in the day you could ride a vehicle because there's a lot of roads in the Everglades. These gravel roads and stuff. and surrounded by forest and swamp. And in a half a mile, you could probably count 10 species of animals that you would see. They say you can ride out there all night and not see one animal, not one. That's how much they've devastated the environment down there. That's why we're big on killing them. But um, they're not the whole state. I mean, you're not going to go to Orlando and go in the woods and come across a python. You're not going to go to Tampa or Fort Lauderdale or anything like that. It's further down because the Everglades is huge. A million square miles. I don't know. It's huge, you know. So they're not
So it's the
moving forward.
Everglades mainly that you're seeing them. It's further south.
It's way south. It's the Everglades mostly. That's where they have a big python hunt every year to kill these things. People make big money hunting these things, and it's all down in the Everglades, stuff like that. They haven't migrated. Like I go to Mayaca and stuff like that. You're not seeing them in Mayaca. You're not. You're just not. It's the same with the iguanas. Everybody talks about the iguanas in Florida. That's Broward and Dade counties. You know, I lived down in Fort Lauderdale for 7 years, and they're everywhere. I live only 2 hours away from Fort Lauderdale right now, and you'll never find an iguana here. You know what I mean?
Really?
So everything is really in its specific area. It's not like we're overrun. Like you're going to walk out of your house in Jacksonville, and all of a sudden there's a 10-foot python at your front door. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So
You have a better chance of alligators. Alligators are everywhere. They are. That's not a lie. They're
alligators are everywhere. Okay.
everywhere. If there's a body of water, there's probably a gator in it or near it. And I'm talking golf courses. It doesn't matter. They're everywhere.
Hey, did you see that? I think it was a TikTok or on Facebook. These guys were fishing in the Everglades State Forest or Everglades National Forest, something like that, state park or whatever you have down there, and this dude got jerked off of his boat by a damn shark.
Did he ask permission first?
Ah, he didn't even buy him dinner. No, but did you see it? Dude he was leaning over, washing his hands after a catch, and a shark grabbed him by the hand.
Yeah,
and pulled him in.
it does happen, and you have to be careful. I'm an avid fisherman, and I would I there was this one, he wouldn't leave me alone. I'd keep walking, cast, and he'd come right to me every single time. But at one point, I just forgot about him. I got so busy with what I was doing. He was literally a foot away from me, underwater in about 4 inches of water, just looking at me. See what I'm saying? So they can get up real close, real quiet under the surface of the water and just sit there and watch and wait for. He was probably trained enough that he was waiting for me to catch a fish. And when I pull it in, he was going to go for the fish. I don't think he was really wanting to go for me, but he was definitely right there with me the whole time, like a puppet.
So it was an alligator?
It was an alligator.
No, did
Don't
I
they-
say alligator? Because I meant shark. A shark.
Oh
pulled
yeah, I
his
saw that
hand.
where he went down, it bit his fingers off.
Yeah. Did it get his fingers off?
I think he lost his fingers.
Was it a
It
bull
grabbed
shark?
him and pulled him in. It was some kind of shark.
Oh yeah, Florida leads in shark attacks in the nation. So you
Yeah,
got
but this was in the Everglades. This was
Yeah,
in like fresh water.
Yeah, we get some sharks that are that it's more brackish than fresh.
Yeah.
Okay.
They will come further inland. They
Yeah,
will come
bull
further
sharks. Bull sharks are good for that.
inland. Yeah,
And a bull shark, they're dickheads. I mean, you're done.
right. They're extremely aggressive.
Yes.
Florida's, I mean, as beautiful as it is in the beach areas and stuff, I guess I've never really been like inland and seen like, because everywhere has their bad part of town, you know. And when I go to Florida, I go to the touristy places where everything's nice.
You want to, and that's the thing with Florida. When especially when people think Florida and think about especially squatching or anything like that, people's mentality is straight to Mickey Mouse in the beaches. That's what people think, and that's what they know and stuff like that, because that's what Florida really promotes, those areas.
Yeah.
But you'd be amazed if I'll give you an example. It's called the Lake Wales Ridge. Okay, look it up. It's literally, it doesn't look like it, a mountain range basically in the center of the state. Even though Florida's the flattest state in the nation, at one point this ridge was the only thing sticking out of the ocean. The rest of Florida came up millions of years later. So you have this ridge. You would never notice that you're elevated. You'd never know it, but there's a ridge. It's all forest. We have tons and tons of forests here in Florida that people just don't realize. big things like Ocala National Forest or Green Swamp area. I mean, they're everywhere. There's just huge areas, let alone the Everglades. Everybody just thinks we have the Everglades. Um, that we have the Florida Trail that's 1,400 miles. It starts in South Florida and goes all the way up to North Florida, and it's all through thick forest. See what I'm saying? So, the
Yeah. So
possibilities.
talking about Bigfoot, and when we think about Florida swamp apes, skunk apes, you think like in the swamps. But
Right.
you're saying that there are several forested areas. Where in the state of Florida is the highest concentration of sightings or reported encounters?
If you were to ask me, I would pick 3 locations in the state of Florida that are hot to go to. I would say I would spend time in these locations, and it's actually the first 2 everybody knows because there's a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of researchers that go to these 2 areas. But you're talking Ocala National Forest,
Okay.
which is very, very, very popular. It's very large. Then you have the Green Swamp area. It's very large, which is close to the Tampa. It's north of Tampa, Lakeland, stuff like that. It's not far. If you lived in Tampa or Lakeland, you could be there in 45 minutes. And that's a very large area that has a lot of reported sightings and stuff like that. The third one, which I've enjoyed going to a few times, is what they call the J.W. Corbett area down in West Palm Beach. Very large area. A lot of sightings out of there. A lot of reports from state troopers, and stuff like that. At one point, an FWC officer had made a comment that they, on average, get 5 reports a month.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And the bad thing is you're giving the report to FWC. It's not going to go in
Florida Wildlife what?
Commission or something
Commission,
like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, so they get up to 5 a month.
That was the claim, and that was 2 years ago. So,
wow.
And that's why if you remember, Kerry Arnold, they did the 168 at that location. So they went there for a reason because there is so many sightings and stuff like that, and it's a very interesting place. Very, very interesting. I like the area a lot, but it's a drive for me to get there. So.
Okay. All right. Well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about your personal experiences. I always ask, and we're several minutes into the show, and I haven't even asked you yet. But what first piqued your interest in this topic? The topic of Bigfoot. Was it an encounter? Were you always interested? Just what happened and when?
Probably the first time it was when my dad called me a little booger, and I asked him what was that. No, I'm just kidding. No, I never had an interest in Bigfoot at all. It wasn't never on my radar. I was an average deer hunter. I mean, I was just, that guy that just went out in the woods, did his thing and came out, and never had anything that I would say was crazy or anything like that. I just hunted, and as hunters, Bigfoot would come up in conversation. Hey, yeah. And I was agnostic. I wasn't, against it or for it. I was just agnostic. Like, I can see it living out here. I could see something like that. But do I believe it's out here? No. But could it? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not one to say no. See what I'm saying? I leave that option open until it happens to you.
Yeah.
And that's the change. That when something happens, then everything changes. And that's what had happened to me. So
what happened?
It was in 2005, and I was at one of the areas that we had discussed earlier. This is back in 2005. And I was actually heading to West Palm Beach to see a buddy of mine that I was stationed with. We were in the military together, and we were going to actually go out to this area. I'd never been there before, and he was telling me it's great for hog hunting and deer hunting, and we were going to go out there and check it out and stuff, just spend a day scouting around. It wasn't hunting season or anything like that. We just wanted to look at it and start planning for the next season. So I drive all the way there. I get to his house, and this is the part I remember. It was either his wife had something for him to do or work had called. Something happened. He couldn't go now. Okay. And I was like, oh man, and stuff like that. And, and back then cell service wasn't good. He said he tried to, and I had a flip phone in 2005. And, you know, either way, I drove the whole way and realized, we're not going out there together. So he came out, he had a map. Back then we used maps actually. We put it
I
on
remember those days.
yeah, we put it on the vehicle, and he was saying, "Look, on when you were coming in, you passed this large area. This is what I'm talking about." And I knew what he was talking about because it was a very large wilderness area. And so he showed me where he enters and stuff like that. So I'm heading home, and I told him I'll probably swing in there, maybe, maybe not, who knows. But on the way home, I decided, yeah, I'm gonna go check it out. So I go into this wilderness area, and I'm on a shell rock road, white shell rock road. And it's very narrow. It's not. I mean, if you were you could pass somebody, but you'd be very tight. You know what I mean? The other person might have to move over a little to let you go by, but so it wasn't a huge road or anything. It was just a gravel, type of road, and it just seemed to go on forever. I was on that road for a few minutes before I saw this large trailhead on my right hand side and decided to pull over and start just hiking around. And you got to remember, I'm not prepared. This was just I don't have anything with me. You know what I mean? I'm just hiking, and so I started taking this large trailhead, and I say large, I mean a vehicle could probably, if they wanted to go off road, could drive down it. And as I'm going, the trail started getting narrower and narrower and narrower, and so as I went further and further and further back, and I'm probably about, I want to say, I wouldn't say I was too far, maybe a half a mile, and there was a berm. I always describe it as, when four wheelers take turns, they build that berm after a while, and it kind of resembled that, but it could have been from something else. But I climbed up that to just get a better view of the area that I was on, and I'm talking, the thing was only like 4 or 5 feet tall, so I wasn't really high up, but it gave me a better perspective. So while I was standing up there, I looked down to the back side of the berm, and there was a really good game trail. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to follow that game trail for a while and see, if I find some bedding areas and different things like that. So I climbed down the back side of it, and I start following this trail. I want to say, because it's been a long time now, but at least no more than another half a mile as I'm walking, and and I'm the whole time I'm looking down at the ground because I'm looking for prints, I'm looking for rubs, I'm looking for scrapes, and periodically look up and then continue to look down, look up, type thing. And I get to an open area. I'm going through a pine forest, and I get to an open area which just kind of opens up to a field with sparse pine trees. You know what I mean? And a bunch of palmettos. It's more or less a palmetto field where the pine trees are growing around it, with sporadic pine trees in the middle and stuff like that. Something common that's very common here in Florida. So I'm following these prints in this trail. So I started zigzagging through the palmettos, trying to work my way across. Now this field was only maybe 100 yards across, and I'd be right back into a pine forest. And I want to say I got halfway, maybe halfway, if that. And again, I'm looking down, I'm just watching for prints and stuff, and I hear this unbelievable, ungodly yell. And it was so loud and so fast, it was like getting punched in the face. It was like a whip. It was like, wah! I mean, it was just that fast. I mean, it was just loud. It wasn't a howl, it wasn't a scream, it was like a whip. Wah! And at that moment, I look up and turn around all at the same time. Just that fast. And fear just hit me so hard. I mean, I probably left part of me there. You know what I mean? Fear really, really, really set in bad. And I remember sitting there, it's like, okay, just keep walking. Don't look back. Don't run. Just because as a hunter, I'm thinking, okay, if it was a bear or if it was something else, if I run, I'm bait. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm just I'm walking as calmly as I can, but I'm not zigzagging now. I'm barreling through stuff. I'm stepping over stuff. I'm trying to make a straight line back towards my truck, you know? And so I'm walking, my heart's beating out of my chest, and I'm just telling myself constantly, just keep calm, just keep calm, just keep calm. And I could hear to my 7 o'clock, let's say, and my 5 o'clock, what sounded like somebody was dropping sandbags from like maybe 2 feet off the ground, just dropping sandbags, that deep thud. You know what I mean? And I kept hearing that to my right and to my left, and I was like, just don't turn around, just don't turn around, and this is all happening pretty rapidly, and because 50 yards later, I'm back into a pine forest heading back towards the truck. And I remember at that point, I wasn't hearing anything anymore. Once I was in the pine forest, I was too focused on getting out, but I didn't hear anything after that. So I continually to barrel through remember, I'm not going the same way I came in. I'm going straight out. So when I got back to that gravel road, I was a couple hundred yards from where my truck was. And so at that point, I picked up pace, not run, but I picked up pace and got in my truck and left and went straight home. And it was a bad experience. I mean, it really was. And even to this day, I'm more geared as far as research towards vocalizations than I am anything else. I'm very intrigued on what people catch on sound. Of course, we're all big on video. We're all big on this and that, but audio just seems to get me. You know what I mean? Because of that first initial thing. And I remember for a long time I played with it in my head was, what did I encounter out there? Because it wasn't a bear. You know what I mean? Whatever it was, I never saw it, but I didn't stand up to look and see what it was. The fear just made me instantly want to get out of there. So that was the first encounter I ever had that opened that door, opened that rabbit hole we call, to say there's something else out in these woods. See what I'm saying? So at that point, I started doing the armchair research and reading what I could and starting to pay attention, especially in the state of Florida, because this is my home state. Lived here my entire life, fourth generation. I'm all involved in anything that deals with Florida. So, but talking to, my buddies or anybody I hunted with or anybody like that, in the beginning, I'd make coworkers or something, I'd mention something, and you would get that you're crazy type attitude. They wouldn't call me crazy, but you get that attitude. So you just kind of drop it and you don't bring it up again. But it was there. I mean, I couldn't sleep. There's nights I just couldn't sleep. For hours, I would just lay there and it would just play in my mind and play in my mind and play in my mind. Then, of course, your mind starts creating worst case scenarios of what could have happened. You know what I mean? What if this tonight's sequence of dreams, I'm running and this is the result? You know what I mean? Then this result, I soiled myself. This was the consequence. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. So it's always interesting when we hear people that have these kind of types of experiences, especially when they're traumatic to them. They tend to go one way or the other. Either they sell all their hunting shit and they get completely out and they're never going in the woods again.
I did that.
Or they are, what was this? I need answers. I'm going out here every chance I get.
I ended up getting out of hunting altogether. I never hunted again after that date. Never hunted again. And it took a long time for me to actually get into the woods seriously. I've been in the woods, but it's short hikes, or I had to go through the woods to get to a pond I wanted to fish or something like that. But I still had that anxiety. I still had that fear. And but so I sold all my hunting equipment and stuff like that, and sold some rifles that I wish I had kept, tree stands, different things like that. I'm the type that when I get involved in something, I'm all in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just, what do I need to buy? What do I need to get? You know what I mean? And I'm all in. So, I had a lot of hunting equipment, a lot of gear and stuff like that. Some I gave it away, because I'm like that and say, hey, nah, you take it, you have it, you'll get some enjoyment out of it. So, but that was it, and then you know things progressed after that. You know,
Then you're just. I was on your Facebook today, and I hope you don't mind, but I pulled some of your pictures that you posted on
hmm
Facebook, and they were really intriguing to me.
yeah, these are just I just put them out every once in a while. They're
Mm-hmm.
from the last couple of years and stuff like that. That was a print that we found. Now, what you don't, and the thing is with that print is it's only, and you see the toes and a possible mid dorsal,
Mm-hmm.
very flat foot. Um, but what brought it to the attention was the toes and stuff like that, and there were multiple. There, it was a trackway. We
Uh-huh.
actually saw multiple prints, but you try to get the best ones that you can. The thing is with that print was that's only roughly 9 inches long,
Mm.
but the heel was almost 4 inches across. So it was a very wide, stubby foot. See what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it was the only prints out there. There was no other prints. There wasn't, that I mean it was just this one individual leaving these prints. Um, One of the other pictures you'll also see is a handprint. At one point this thing put its hand down on the ground. See
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
that was wild. So I made sure I pulled four of them, and I made sure to bring those because the substrate was the same. So I figured that they were together.
Right. Those were within, like I said, there was prints, and at this one, it just, to us it felt like something had just for some reason put its hand down. See what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So we had that print, um, and it's about that's the fact that handprint is the size of an adult male's hand.
Right.
You I mean, it's I wouldn't say it's a small. It was, you could tell it was a large hand, but in comparison to the footprint, it was, wow, this is a large handprint compared to such a stubby, you know what I mean? So we concluded that this probably was a young, not an infant, but maybe a juvenile as far as
Yeah.
teenager or something like that. Because it wasn't an infant print, and I have some small prints that are like 3 inches barefoot. Like if you took your baby and printed their baby's footprint, it looked like
Uh-huh.
that in the middle of the forest. You know what I
That,
mean? Perfect little prints. So this was not an infant. This was, I think, more of a, a juvenile teenager type thing.
well,
And
but I was looking at this one, and the ball of the foot is so like it just looks like it would be thick.
yeah, it's flat. That's what
Hmm.
kind of, it's very flat and very wide, very very wide. And then of course, like I said, we saw the toe prints, and so we move on. We don't spend a lot of time on it. We document it and say, hey, in the future, maybe this might mean something or something. I'm not sure. Um, we don't
You
claim
ever
anything.
cast any prints?
We have, when I was going out with other people, they occasionally would cast. I don't, because I'm independent. I'm by myself, and I'm already carrying a lot of equipment and different things that I need when I'm in the woods. To carry now a gallon of water and casting material, it would be too much for me. See what I'm saying? So applications are open if somebody wants to go out with me. Um, but you're going to be a pack mule. But so I try to limit what am I going to do that day. And granted, you get way out there, and that location was we're not. Matter of fact, I filmed driving in, and I'm driving about 20 miles per hour, and it still took me about 10 minutes to get from the entrance to that location, and then from where I parked the truck to where we walked. See what I'm saying? So it's pretty far back there. Um, and like I said, it was a trackway, and then it just disappeared into the shrubbery. So
What is your opinion on these?
Well, when we look at arches, and
I
I
see them
put that one
all
out
the time up here.
and it's one of my favorites only because that's a very tall tree.
Yeah.
And I try to get all the other trees in the picture to let them know that it's the only one that's like that, and it's surrounded by other trees that are not affected. See what I'm saying? Um,
Hmm.
but in other pictures we have and stuff like that, where the other guy is standing there, it actually you see the tree going beside him. It's literally in the ground. It's stabbed into the ground. So um,
Yeah, it's so weird. I mean,
that was I we tried trees reaching up and walking them back and trying to and we couldn't get them. We couldn't even budge the tree. And I'm not a small guy, but I'm not a big guy, but I'm 215 pounds and I'm 5'10", and hanging and pulling, I couldn't get that tree to bend to reenact it, and then let alone shove it into the ground. And you can see the leaf litter. It's like
Right.
walking on shag carpet. The leaf litter is very thick, so to penetrate the leaf litter, get into hard soil. I don't know how that happened. So we document it and say,
uh,
okay, this is something strange.
so you say, Richard, you're saying it was shoved into the ground?
That where he's standing, it went into the ground. And that's
Okay,
the
well,
only thing that was holding it.
it's a live tree, correct?
I don't believe it was. I don't think it had any branches on it. I think they were all stripped off, so it was hard to tell.
Okay, because I'm saying yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense because I don't know if you take a live tree and you bend it over, or and what's interesting about this picture to me is there's no other like fallen trees in the area because when you see arches,
Right.
a lot of the time it's because another tree fell and took that with it,
Correct.
and the tree lived and it continued to grow. So it's still alive and it's still growing and makes it taller and taller and taller. But you're not
Correct.
seeing it there.
And
So,
especially for all the biologists or that taught me well in high school, the trees when they go towards sunlight. So if there's canopy, a tree will actually turn to get to the sunlight and then go up. Um, there's no sunlight at the ground, so I don't understand. All the other trees grew normally. Everything looked fine in that area, and then that one tree was arched, and I always liked it because it's the largest arch that I found. I found some that were 5 or 6 feet up. Um, the guy in the picture is probably around 5'8", so you can just imagine how tall that actually is.
yeah,
So it's a really tall tree, and it's a hardwood. It's not a pine tree. It's a hardwood. So
yeah,
uh,
that's an interesting picture.
Yeah, they always fascinate me because you always see them arches and you're like, why?
What's
What
cool
is
is when you find those arches and you see trees that are or things that have been laid on top of them to
right.
hold them down. I have pictures in my phone. I'd have to find it, but there I found an archway in a place that we go in North Georgia where something with hands grabbed this tree, pulled it over, and wove it between other trees to keep it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I,
like this
I,
way, that way, this way, that way, between other trees to hold it in place. I mean,
correct.
a windstorm didn't do that.
No, I made that exact same. If you watch the show we just had, um, we were talking about that where I have another one that I've documented on video, which is impressive to me because arches happen, things happen, nature happens.
Hmm.
Mother Nature does wonderful things in the forests, and I try to disprove before I prove. Always
Yep.
disprove first, and it's got to be an arch that really gets me perplexed. Where I'm like, I can't figure this out. That'll make me document it. And like you said, we have a place. It's a pine tree, a pine tree, a pine tree. They're like in a row, but one back here is bent over and it's going between them.
That's
Well, the same
exactly what
way
I'm
the
talking
wind
about.
whipped it back and forth to weasel it through these. And we're talking pine trees. They're not huge, but saplings, but at least 20 feet tall. And all the trees around it are perfect. But this one tree is bent down and woven into an arch shape, and they can't explain it.
Something with hands that was quite strong.
Again, exactly, because I've been out there. Other guys, I've taken other people out there. They've seen that particular arch, and we've tried to reenact it and cannot do it. We just can't do it. It's impossible. And pine trees in the tree world are pretty flexible because of the storms we have here. They got to be able to bend. Um, I couldn't budget at all.
Yeah. So, Richard, in all of your time doing this, any sightings?
I've had some very, very, very close encounters. Um, there was a couple years ago, because I'm single and I don't have kids, so, and stuff like that. I choose holidays to go camping because there's nobody out there. Everybody's home for the Christmas. They're at grandma's or whatever, and
Yeah.
I can get into some areas where I'm unimpeded by other people and stuff like that, or whatever. So I always chose Christmas as a good time to go camping. So this one particular Christmas, I go out um, and set up tents and everything, got everything going. And the first night, I believe it was the first night, um, was pretty much uneventful. You know, um, everything. I went for a hike. Everything. It was just a normal day. The next day, I get up really early in the morning. I decide to go for a hike, and I get into this one area on this trailhead that had some water on the right and some water on the left. Now I'm talking these drain areas, where rainwater was collecting. We're talking about the size of a queen size bed on each side. They're not huge. They're just little water areas. So I'm looking around to see if there's any prints, anything's coming to get water or anything like that. And I decided, and I don't do calls, and I don't do wood knocks. And so I decided to do a call, just because I'm getting bored. I'm not getting anything. And maybe I can, do something here. So I did a couple calls, and I sat there for, I don't know, 10 minutes just waiting, and nothing happened. So I continued to go on my hike. Got hungry, decided to go back to the tent and have hot dogs for breakfast. And yeah. So I start hiking back, and I get back to that exact same spot because you can see the two water puddle big things, rock areas where there was water and stuff. And now in the middle of the trail, and this trail is only about 5 feet across, is a palmetto frond just laying there in the middle of the trail, perfectly green, fresh. Um, and I don't know if you ever tried to pull a palmetto frond out of the ground. It's next to impossible. You need a truck. You see palmettos, go try to grab one and pull it. You can't pull it out of the palmettos. And this looked like it exploded. The end of it like just blew up. So it had to take some force to just rip that thing in half. See what I'm saying? And it's laying there in the middle of the path where I just came from. I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes earlier, and right where I made the calls. Because I had stopped to make calls at that spot, and I was like, okay, so I document it because okay, now I'm into something weird. I'll document weird. You know what I mean? So I took pictures of it. I filmed it. It's on older videos from a couple years ago. So then I get back to the camp and I'm doing my thing and stuff, eating and everything. And the rest of the day was pretty uneventful. So I go to bed that night, and I have a pretty large tent. I don't know if y'all see some of the videos. I have a really large tent, and so I'm sitting inside this tent, and it's not the one I currently put in the videos. It's an older one. So I'm talking a tent that's I can almost stand up in it. Okay, and so I'm in this tent, and it's cold, so I have the fly on it and stuff like that. So there's no windows open or anything like that. I'm just trying to get some sleep, and I get woken up by that sound of something rubbing the tent material. It's got a very distinct sound.
Yeah.
And I hear this, so I wake up and I'm sitting there, and my eyes are pretty adjusted inside the tent, and I can hear something going from the foot of my tent all the way down the side of my tent to the head of my tent, and then back again, rubbing the roof of the tent where the fly is. The only thing separating my tent roof and the fly is probably a couple inches. You know what I mean? and it's rubbing the material. And so now I'm getting kind of freaked out. And but I, made the conscious decision that I'm going to find out what this is. So I roll out of my sleeping bag, and thank God it was ground level because I got a gut, and standing up is next to impossible at night in the tent. So I just rolled out. So I roll out, and I've got my phone, and I've got a flashlight. Okay, those are the two things in my hands, and with those in my hands, I've got my hand down on the zipper, just waiting to see if this thing comes closer. All of a sudden, I hear my cooler getting picked up and walked away because I can hear the stuff in the container inside the cooler shifting back and forth. It's just when you're walking, you can hear because I had sodas in it, hot dogs, stuff like that. 10 pounds of ice. There's things were shifting on the inside, and that freaked me out because that's all the food I have. That's everything I've got, and now my cooler's being walked away. So I unzip as quickly as I can. I jump out and I hit the flashlight, and there's nothing there. It's gone. And my cooler is about, I want to say where I had it, because I had it right there at the door. Because if I got thirsty or something like that, I can just unzip it a few inches and open up the cooler and get a soda or whatever I needed and zip it back. So I kept it right there at the door. It's now about 20 feet away. So I'm freaked out, and I'm only in my long johns. You know what I mean? So I'm outside the tent. I'm flashing this flashlight everywhere. I'm walking around the tent, scanning the brush, everything, and I'm not seeing anything. Then the secondary fear hits is this thing might be in the trees. So I start now looking upward and checking things out. And again, I never saw anything. But whatever it was capable of picking up my cooler and walking away with it. So I really immediately disregarded raccoons. Raccoons were not gonna do it. Now I'm not an expert on bear activity, but when I put everything together, I don't see a bear walking around my tent rubbing the roof. And and usually bears claw at things. They want to open it up. They want to, you know what I mean? And they may drag it off, pick it up with their teeth or whatever, but it didn't seem like that. It literally sounded like if you were camping with somebody and he was just walking by with a cooler, you know what I mean? And so that was a very, very close encounter, and I was really freaked out over it, and I was like, man, I was that close. You know what I mean? That close. And again, anxiety and stuff. So by February, same time frame, December, because I went at Christmas. Now this was February, just a couple months later. I was able to get back to that same location, and there was again quiet. Nobody's out there. I'm sitting out there. This time I had my dog with me. And I've never taken my dog camping, and she did wonderful. He was awesome. So we had done hiking and found some, different things that I took photographs of and stuff. We get back to the tent and we're hanging out, and then, of course, bedtime comes around. I get him situated and stuff. Now I keep my cooler in the floorboard of my truck.
Yeah.
So I did. That night, because I still had another night to camp out there after that encounter in December. I locked everything up inside the truck, and we'll go over it. But I've made some changes, so if this ever happens again, I have backup plans now, because this next incident, I learned a big lesson. So again, I'm in the tent. My dog's there, and we're chilling and stuff. And I have a very quiet dog. I had the dog for years, and it never barked. It just didn't care. It just didn't bark. It will do what it's told, and it's loving and all that, but non-aggressive, just a wonderful dog. And I got woken to my dog growling, which freaked me out because I've never heard my dog growl before. And it was a low growl. It's not like a loud growl, like a warning. He was like, you could tell something was bothering him. So I'm looking down at him, and he's looking at the window to my left. Now, this time I do not have the fly on, and this tent has a 360-degree view. See what I'm saying? The fly is the window, so now it's just mesh.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're talking mesh from about a foot or so, maybe 18 inches from the floor up, and then the rest is all open. So you can literally sit up and look around 360. I got the tent for that reason. So I'm laying there, and he's looking, I mean, just dead stare out the window to my left. And so I said, okay, well, and I sat there for a minute because it takes some guts, and I didn't have them at the moment. Um, I needed to sit up and I needed to look out the window. So I sat up and I turn, and there is something outside the window staring back at me. And I can't see what it is. It's one of those things where you can tell that it's like somebody walking up to you in your front yard at night. You see the person walking, you just can't. Hey, who is it? You know what I mean? Oh, it's Jim. Hey, Jim. I couldn't make out what it was, but I could tell there's something right there because it's probably 5 inches away from the window. You know, it's not far from the window, and so I'm sitting there staring at it. I'm scared to move. My dog is still just sitting there low growling. And so at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get the flashlight and I'm going to turn on the flashlight and right at his face. And I'm going to see what is looking at me, you know? And so I get the flashlight and I tilt it up. And this is where I made a really, really bad mistake. Bam! I hit the flashlight. This thing, whatever it was, shoves the tent. I see the whole side, that 18 inches of fact, go pushed inside, probably at least 6 inches. It just the whole thing pushed in. So you see the whole side of the tent kind of move inward. My dog freaks out, jumps, and hides behind me like I brought you to protect me. You know what I mean? You know, earn your rent, buddy. So I'm freaked out. My heart's now I mean, just that moment of the tent getting shoved. And I saw the whole bottom push. I saw that's where whatever hands, paws, whatever it was, shoved the tent right there. And so I jump up, I unzip again, I jump out of the tent, and it's long gone. You know what I mean? But it took me a moment to get out of the tent because I'm dealing with the dog. I don't want him running out. I want him safe, and he's freaking out and all this. So it where I was hoping it'd take me 2 seconds to get out that thing, it probably took me 10. See what I'm saying? But anyways, when I finally get out of the tent and I jump out there, there's nothing there, nothing. See what I'm saying? But there was definitely 100% something sitting outside my tent, like squatting. You know what I mean? I kind of picture it um, like I hate to use that term because gargoyles. You see on the buildings where they're kind of squatting, or like you see Asian people, they like to sit on their squatted down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. That something was squatted right there, and it was just staring at me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so that was those three with the yell in 2005, and then those two things happening a couple years ago. Those are my closest encounters with something being out there. Like I said,
That's creepy as hell.
it was very creepy. And again, when I document these things and stuff like that, I'm very cautious on making any claims. You know what I mean? I can speculate or whatever, but I'm not one of those ones that says Bigfoot was looking at me right there. You know what I mean? I'm very clear in saying I don't know what it was, but it was definitely had a head and shoulders. See what I'm saying? It just looked like somebody was squatted down, peeking in my tent. I just, like I said, it's dark time. I can see somebody there. I just can't. Nothing distinguishing. So what happened was, my mistake was, when I hit the flashlight, it blared back at me. I thought not having, it would shine through the screen is what I thought it would, but it didn't. As soon as I hit that light, nothing but flashback. I couldn't see anything. So and I'm sure that hitting the flashlight scared the dog worse and stuff. So like I said, it took me a moment to get out. But once I got out there, like I said, I walked around, checked everything out. The problem is our leaf litter is so bad. It's so hard to find good prints.
Yeah, here too.
It's very difficult. Yeah, Georgia. I've researched in Georgia. It's beautiful up there, but it's the same thing because you have a lot of hardwoods and they drop a lot of leaves, and it's just very difficult. So, but I was definitely on edge, and what led up to what I one thing I did forget to mention was that same night that that thing was peeking in my window, there was a scream out in the woods that I wasn't recording at the time, but it was the weirdest sound. I mean, it was a scream. It was like it was loud. It sounded like it was probably a couple hundred yards away from where I was camped. Um, because it was really weird because after the incident, I was out hiking and ran into an older couple, and they had asked me, "Hey, are you camping anywhere out here?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "Did you hear that noise last night?" And they were talking about it, and I just played it off and said, "Oh, really? No, you know." But in my mind, I was like, "Yeah, I heard it. I heard that scream." So I don't know what that was. It could have been anything, but it's just coincidental that the same night I have something looking inside my window and checking me out. You know,
Yeah,
he didn't
that's
like
weird.
he didn't like what he saw.
Maybe he did.
Maybe,
He wanted a closer look.
but he wasn't. He evidently wasn't a dog man. He's probably a cat person, and
Uh,
that was the deal breaker. That was the deal breaker. So
we got several questions for you, and I feel like we have just like
we just
scratched the surface. There's so much more. So you're welcome back, buddy, to come back and talk some more. But we do need to get to some of these questions, if that's all right.
Yeah.
All right, first one
I was
coming
going to
from.
segue into how everything built up to now having a podcast. 'Cause I definitely enjoy the podcast work. We're having a good time.
Well,
Yeah.
and let me say, since I have you here in front of me, thank you for being a member with us.
Oh no! As soon as I got to talking to you and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, you know. And so I joined. I paid my $10 a month. That's what it was, like 10.
No, no, I wish it were 10 a month. No, 2.
Is Richard a member?
Yeah, he's
Thank you.
been a
Yeah, I
member.
appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, it's $1.99 a month.
He's got his Discord link.
$1.99.
You should have just been charged $1.99.
Yeah. Well, hell, he said 10, so we should be charging 10.
Well, you're starting to get like Brian, where you have a show all the time. I don't know how the man does it. The guy, he's got to be the hardest working person in the Bigfoot world because the guy's.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know how he does
I don't know
it.
how he does it.
Podcasts, writing books, going to conferences. I don't know how he does it.
I don't think he sleeps. I think he's a vampire.
Yeah, he's a cryptid.
Yes, we need to investigate him.
All right, our first question coming from Mr. T. Roy. Are vehicles allowed where you had your initial encounter?
The one that I had in 2005, you can drive out there. There are roads, but a lot of it you're going to park and then, of course, go off trail. But yeah,
Okay.
you can drive out there.
All right, Mr. Allen. What's up, buddy? My good buddy Allen. What area would you guess that the swamp apes may be concentrated? Kind of like a safe zone. There's about 1.5 million acres that is kind of landlocked, being that Florida is a peninsula.
Well, we are landlocked, but like I said, we have the Florida Trail, and that goes across the entire state from south to north and goes right into the Appalachians. And I guarantee you, I can get into the Appalachians and go as far as Vermont, Maine, or whatever, and never be seen. So I'm not saying these things migrate, but what I am saying is things can move without being seen. And
I think they migrate.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those until we can have an established family unit or group or some way of tagging and that we can monitor movement, we'll never know. We can speculate. I do believe they move because you have to go where the food sources are. Yeah. And deer move, all animals move, and you want to move with them, just like Native Americans did and stuff like that, and following the buffalo. So I think there's movement. Now, as far as our Florida Bigfoots going up to Kentucky for the summer, I don't see what I'm saying.
There's no way of knowing that.
It's a big if. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that's a hell of a walk too. Especially trying to stay concealed.
Well, most predatory animals have a area, and when you say, let's say, 1,000 square miles, or no, not 1,000 square miles, 1,000 mile area. Well, that could be 30 miles this way, 30 miles that. You know what I mean? It's a 30 by 30 area, and
Yeah.
they just stay in that thousand whatever.
Yeah.
So movement you think is far, but when you're something that large and can move that fast, how far is far? I mean, a mile in a
You're
very
right.
short period of time. So I think here, where I'm researching now, I believe is a route that they don't stay in, but they do pass through. And I've monitored this area, and I can get from one county to about 2 or 3 counties away without ever being seen. Nobody would ever know I was there.
Wow.
And that actually goes through a state park too. So there's another 12,000 acres of state park that this thing can go and hang out and not be accosted. So
Yeah. All right. Moving on again from T. Rory. Richard, what nights is your show on, and where can we see it or listen to it?
the podcast is, because I got to promote Johnny. Johnny is my buddy, and so if they want to see what we are doing, me, Johnny, and in the shows, of course I have my site, which is BFFG, or Bigfoot Florida Guy. The podcast is Sasquatch Unredacted on YouTube as well, and then Johnny has Sasquatch Encounter Brigade out of Georgia, and he also has his YouTube channel for that as well. We also can find us on Facebook. I have Bigfoot Florida Guy on Facebook, and he has Sasquatch Encounter Brigade, and we also have just started the Facebook page for the podcast, Sasquatch Unredacted.
Yeah, Johnny Two Bears used to come in. He used to be at every one of my shows that I did back when I was just Manimal Research.
Yeah, but he's been in here recently.
He has been in recently,
Yeah.
but before, back a long time ago, he was in every one of my shows. He was very, very active, and I thought very highly of Johnny. I thought he was a cool.
He is a great guy, and very busy, very, very family oriented, and he's expecting a new baby. So
wow, okay.
So Mama Bear and Johnny Two Bears are pretty busy with that.
They not have cable?
Yeah. Well, it shocked me because his kids are older. I mean, they're teenagers.
Yeah, I say Johnny, I think, is up there around, because I've got a 3-year-old. My daughter will be 4 this week.
Yeah, he's in his upper 40s, and
I'm in my mid 40s.
And they wanted this. They planned this. So
sweet, good for them.
I think it's amazing. Awesome. I think it's awesome if you can do it. So, but the finished answer to that guy's the person's question was, our show is on Friday nights at 7 or 8, depending. We always post ahead of time, 7 or 8, depending on the guest. And but we try to do every other Friday. It doesn't always work out that way because guests, we kind of go around them, and they might say, "Well, I can do this date better." So now we got 3 Fridays in a row because they slid into that center. You know what I mean? So it's Friday nights at 7 or Friday nights at 8 Eastern Standard Time, and we do post the podcast on all 3 channels, so people can catch it on regardless if they're subscribed to me and not Johnny, they can see it no matter where they go. So
okay, very cool. Yeah. All right, moving on. Alan, swamp life seems like a shitty, hot, buggy life. Are swamp apes aggressive? I would be bitchy AF if it were me. Same.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the heat has the effect of making me lazy, but so I don't know if they're like us, but I hear that the skunk ape, which to me is still the same thing. It's a Bigfoot. It's just our name for it. Yeah. They say I've been told by other researchers they're more aggressive. I have not experienced it. Like I said, that yell, was that aggressive? Was it a warning? Was it being passive? Hey, leave me alone, get out of here? Was the push on my tent aggressive? See what I'm saying? Or was it just shocked because I just blasted it with a flashlight? We really got to define what aggressive is, but I don't want to be that close to one.
Yeah.
Chance.
Good answer.
I want to see it from a distance and film it.
All right, Miss Stormy, who is also in Florida. Have you done any explorations in the Panhandle?
I have not, but I have been invited in the past. But being where I'm at, just to get up to the Panhandle, you're looking at 6 to 8 hour drive, depending on where I'm going in the Panhandle. So
Wow.
if I'm going like to Tallahassee, it's probably a 6 hour drive to get to Tallahassee. So to make a trip like that, I have to really, really plan.
Yeah. All right, T. Roy, do you carry while in the woods, swamps, whatever?
I do. I do carry a
Good
pew
for
pew.
you.
Huh?
I say good for you.
I do. Not necessarily for Sasquatch though.
Exactly.
There is,
I don't carry for Bigfoot. I carry for the crazy asshole that I might meet out there.
and I have met crazy. Oh my God, I met a guy one time. I don't go back to that location anymore because I've
Let's
now
hear it.
ran.
I love hearing crazy.
You want to hear crazy?
Let's hear
Yeah, tell
crazy.
us.
All right, here you go. I'm out there. I'm in the middle of nowhere, tromping through the swamp. And it was a wet area, and I start hearing some yelling, but I can't make out the words. There's yelling, and I'm like, "What is that?" You know what I mean? And so I started working and working and working my way out towards it, and I end up on a trail that I did not know was there. So okay, I found a trail, because I'm notorious for getting lost. So I get on the trail and I start following the trail because it's got to go somewhere. And there's this guy. He didn't see me till I turned the bend, but there's this man standing there having a heated argument, F you and F you and F you, to a tree. And I'm like, so I'm like walking up on him, like it's too late for me to dodge out of the way now because he turned and seen me. I mean, he was waving in the air and screaming, and just this tree did something to this man. I don't know what it was, but he was upset. Then he turns and looked at me, and I start to walk by him, and he just looks at me and he's like, "How are you?" And I was like, "Better than you." And I just
That's
kept
what I
on
would
walking.
have said.
And
Buddy.
I just kept on walking. And I thought it was an isolated incident, but I did go back, like, I want to say a month or so later, ran into the same guy out there. So I said,
Yeah, I'm telling you, guys, human beings scare me so much more than cryptids or ghosts or.
My biggest fear is
Really?
hogs, pigs, hogs.
Really?
That's
Okay.
my biggest fear. I don't worry about the bears because I think they'll run off. Florida panther is so rare to run into. I'm not really overly concerned about.
Are there a lot of hogs in Florida?
A lot.
And they will cut you at your shins with.
They will kill you and eat
Yep.
you. They won't find you.
I know they'll eat you.
They will eat you. Their whole pack will come out and they will finish you off.
Yeah, that's fucking terrifying right there.
So, yeah, that's my biggest thing is walking out there. I could deal with rattlesnakes, water moccasins, everything else, but it's the hogs I worry about.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. If I can make one recommendation to anyone out there that does this, that goes out Bigfooting, take you a weapon with you. It's not for Bigfoot. No one's thinking that you're going out there to kill a Bigfoot. Unless you come across a Bigfoot that tries to kill you, then by all means kill it. That's the only way I will ever hurt one, is if I'm being hurt or someone with me is being hurt. But there are so many other things in the woods that can hurt you and can kill you. Protect yourself at all times.
Absolutely. And I tell people all the time, you got to be prepared for whatever you're going to run into. You have to be prepared. And there's a lot of things here that will hurt you in the state of Florida. A lot of things will hurt you.
And we had David Zagan on last night, and I don't think we talked about the crazy that we ran into, did we?
I think it was mentioned. You and I talked about it before the show, and then
The homeless guy that showed up and started raising hell. We had to call the forest ranger. Yeah, so I mean, it's everywhere, and it's mental illness. I mean, God bless them; they can't help it, but that don't help me none.
I don't know, Wayne. I mean, we were in Discord talking about it last night. I don't know if that was mental illness or schizophrenic drug use.
Well, yeah, I mean, drugs are rampant now. People are going out to places and doing drugs and stuff like that. I had somebody tell me one time, you know why they find so many overdoses in parking lots? They purposely, these people that are doing these drugs, they purposely go to like Walmart, for example, in the open and sit in their car and do the drugs because they hope you find them if they OD so they can get that Narcan and be saved.
Yeah, well, guess what? Narcan, it ain't the be all end all.
Yeah, not everybody's got Narcan on them.
No.
And
they're hoping somebody will save their life, but they're not going to stop the drug to save their life.
There it is.
Man, there's it's sad. I mean, I know addiction is a disease. I know I've dealt with people. I have family members that have dealt with it. I have friends that have dealt with it. It's sad. It's pitiful, but I don't know. I don't even know where I want to go with that.
Well, I can tell you, Zach runs them all the freaking time. All the time.
Yep.
When he is running calls, I mean, it is rampant.
Just surround yourself with positive people.
I'm addicted to books.
Yeah, everybody, y'all protect yourselves at all times and just try to be good to each other. That's all I can say.
Yep.
All right, moving along. Bristol, who is also in Florida. Have you had any reports local to you? I had a rock throw experience in, what is that? Wauchula?
Wauchula. I know where Wauchula is.
That I can't explain.
I'd like to hear more from Bristol about that. So I'm not far from, I could be in Wauchula fairly quickly. Could you put that back up real quick?
Oh, I already took it down. I'm sorry.
I can try and find it.
Yeah, what was the question again? I got so caught up that they were in Wauchula. So I've had rocks thrown at me too, or something thrown at me.
Bristol, what was the question, buddy?
I know the chat's very busy. I'm trying to look for it. Oh my goodness.
Bristol, just ask the damn question, dude. Come on.
Oh, here you go. No, I found it.
No, okay, that was it. Have I had any reports local? I've only had one person reach out to me locally, what I would consider local, and that was Wauchula. That's why when you mentioned that, I did have somebody reach out at one point to talk about some sightings and stuff like that. Somebody else had beat me to them and felt that there was nothing to it, so I didn't waste my time. But I had scheduled and planned to meet with that person, but somebody got there before me, so I wasn't going to, mess with it any further. But and I'm a big advocate of reporting, and if you like it or don't like the BFRO, you should put a report on there. Same with the Bigfoot mapping project. I like the Bigfoot mapping project because you can really, really look at things, and terrain and locations and stuff like that. So I encourage everybody to put it on there because some of the areas I research in Central Florida is because of the Bigfoot mapping project. Where I live and where I research, there's been numerous sightings. I want to say was it last year, the year before last on Thanksgiving, 2 sightings in 2 days at the same exact location by different groups. 2 sightings in 2 days on Thanksgiving. So if I was paying attention, I could have been there within 48 hours of those sightings, but I didn't look at the Bigfoot mapping project for about a week. So I got there the following weekend and went out there and looked around and stuff like that. But I encourage everybody, because it gives researchers an opportunity to look at your report and go to that location if possible. The Bigfoot mapping project is all anonymous, so it doesn't have your name and address or anything like that. So it's not like a researcher is going to call you up and say, "Hey, I want to talk to you." If that's up to you to reach out to researchers and say, "Hey, I had an encounter. Could you please meet up with me or something?" Because we will. You know what I mean? And I'm not one of these.
I say it, Richard. I say it all the time. No matter what you think about the BFRO, it is such a valuable tool.
It does have resources that are good.
Yeah, that database. If you're going into a new area, all you got to do is just pull up the county and see if there's any reports that have come from the area. It's such a valuable resource.
Yep. And especially like I like Bigfoot Mapping Project because I can zoom in to wherever in the United States or world, but I can zoom in all the way down to it's like looking at Google Earth. I can see the terrain, I can see the forest, I can see local highways, I can figure out can I get to this location or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Very useful tools. So I
it
encourage
is.
everybody to report. Two, we need to know because we talk about it. You've probably heard it, Wayne. Florida ranks number 3 in Bigfoot sightings.
I've heard that.
So let's say we have, I'm making up a number. Let's say we have 400 sightings, but could it possibly be 600? Just people are not reporting it.
Yep.
See what I'm saying? So I
I
need
think
those.
you're right.
All researchers need those people to put that information out there. You can be anonymous. You don't want to be harassed. That's fine. Not that we harass you, but some might. But it gives us an opportunity to go out there and look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're exactly right. All right, last question from Mr. T. Roy. Richard, have you ever been to the LBL?
No.
Well, come on up in August, Labor Day.
What state is that in?
It straddles Kentucky and Tennessee.
Okay,
More
I
so
knew
in Kentucky.
more in Kentucky. Okay.
Hmm.
No, I haven't. I've had the opportunity, thankfully, to my dad lives in the Appalachians up in the mountains in North Carolina, right, literally on the border in Murphy, Georgia and
That's
North
where I
Carolina.
live, right there.
Murphy.
Well, no, I live in East Tennessee. We hold one of our events, or one of our previous events we would hold in a place where I've always joked you can stand in Tennessee, pee into Georgia, but throw a rock into North Carolina. It's right there in the corner.
When I go visit my dad, and he lives in the mountains, and I should show you a picture of it because he's your burly raccoon head hat. He's a gold prospector. That's what he does. He likes to go out and gold prospect and stuff like
Sweet.
that. And he loves his solitude. He loves being in the mountains and stuff.
Nice.
But you can walk out of his driveway, walk down the road, and literally cross the sign that says "Welcome to Georgia." That's how close he is in North Carolina to the Georgia line.
That's awesome.
So I've gone up there and went in the mountains up there while I visit my dad and see what I can find. I've lucky enough to gone to Georgia and be with Johnny up there, which I would love to go back. I do have a trip planned later this year, and I will be at Salt Fork, Ohio.
Okay.
I will. I've been asked and invited, and I will be going up there.
Well, you're invited to ours as well on Labor Day
Oh.
weekend if you're going to be at the LBL.
Oh yeah, I mean with me it's either money or time. I usually got one or the other. It's always got one or the other. Oh, and I've also done Uwari. I've been out to Uwari, and I do.
I've heard a lot about Uwari.
Yeah, I've got some crazy stuff at Uwari too. So.
All right, Richard, tell everybody where they can find you, anything you want to promote, you want to talk about. Now is your chance.
Definitely, check out Sasquatch Unredacted. We're a podcast, and we, try to get people on. We get researchers and we get encounters, and we just like to talk to them and have them tell us what, just like this, tell us what's going on in their world and stuff like that. We're big on promoting other people, so we'll help you out any way we can. So check out Sasquatch Unredacted podcast. Also, I have a research channel. I'm starting to get back into it. I've had some work issues, so I hadn't been able to get out, but I am getting back into it. But you can go to BFFG Bigfoot Research, or and you'll find it, or just type in BFFG. It usually pops right up. Also, like I said, I want to promote my co-host and my good friend Johnny Two Bears. Check out Sasquatch Encounter Brigade. He's in the field as we speak. That's why last night's show I did by myself, because he's out in the field, and we always promote each other being out in the field. So hopefully he'll come out with something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, man. Again, you are welcome back anytime, buddy. I feel like there's some other stuff we could talk about, so we would love to have you back.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot to talk about.
Well, hey, if you happen to be in Tennessee at the end of July, we're going to be out there at the conference.
The Smoky Mountain Conference, Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. Same one with Gather Up.
Yes.
Yep. Fantastic. They do a fantastic job. You guys are in Georgia. y'all should plan to come to the one that they do here in Ocala. It's massive. It's huge.
They just had it, didn't they?
We just had it. Brian came down.
Yep. David Zigan, the Bigfoot Forensics. He's a member of my organization. He was a part of the roundtable.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yep.
I was part of the roundtable last year.
Okay.
On the Skunk 8 roundtable. Yeah, it's a fantastic venue, huge building, has the Jumbotron in the middle, so you can always see what's going up on stage. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great gathering place for like-minded people. And you guys should try to make the trip. Set up a booth, do your podcast live from there. You know what I mean?
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
All right, Richard. Again, thank you so much, buddy, for hanging out with us tonight, taking the time. We appreciate it. You are very cool. You are welcome back anytime, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, sir.
No, thank you for having me, and I'll come back anytime you want. And all your audience and you guys, God bless each and every one of you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy. Have a good evening.
Take care, guys.
Bye. So cool.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Cool dude.
That was fun. Why are you on my side?
Because you put me there. Duh.
Oh, sorry. All right. Like you said, we do not have a guest for Tuesday, so we need to find one. Anyone out there listening that wants to come on, holla at your boy and your gal.
That's right. Do the dang thing.
All right. You got anything else, man, before we get up out of here?
I don't, but thank you all for coming. Y'all show up for us every week, and we can't thank you enough. So,
yeah.
Thank you for being awesome.
You are always awesome. We love you. We thank you. Stay cool. And we'll see you next time. Bye.